What do gooey cakes, pretzels, ice cream, pizza, soda, all kinds of forms of chocolate all have in common? Well, if you've guessed that they are usually the food people crave when they're having emotional food hungers, you would be correct. Comfort foods. For some people, it's meat and potatoes. For some people, it's mashed potatoes with butter and milk on top, or some sort of very creamy dessert. What's important for you to know is that radical gratitude can really shift that almost overwhelming yearning for a certain food and transform it into a sense of peace and calm, a real sense of serenity restored. How can this happen? And how can it happen as soon as possible for you? One of the ways is to recognize the difference between physical hunger, which is healthy and normal and happens every number of hours all through the day, versus the cravings, the yearning, the sense of almost out of control neediness for a particular food. Normal physical hunger comes on gradually over a period of time. It builds slowly. Food cravings, emotional eating kinds of hunger, however, come on usually very suddenly, often having been triggered by some negative emotion that has kind of pulled you back into a knee-jerk response, often from childhood. And the food craving kind of hunger is almost invariably for one particular kind of food, whether it's chips or it's ice cream or some other kind of sweet. For some people, it's pickles. For some people, it happens to be a combination of foods, like pizza and beer, or soda and cake. As I said, it can take on very many different forms because we are all unique individuals with unique histories leading up to that moment when we want the food. Radical gratitude can help you shift this completely. How? Number one, once you discern by asking your body, what am I really hungry for? That's golden nugget number one for today. Ask your body, what am I really hungry for? What do you need, body, dear body, to really feel at your best right now? Very often we find that there's dehydration going on. Do you know that by the time you feel thirsty, you're already a little bit dehydrated? Sometimes something as simple as having a glass of good clean water can shift the whole situation. Golden nugget number two, becoming more conscious of your moods, becoming more sensitive to what are the emotions you're feeling and what is underneath them. What are the beliefs that are being triggered by certain life events? I'll give you an example. I had a client a number of years ago who had a very, very high-pressured corporate job. She loved the job. She didn't love the details, and she didn't love all the extraordinarily stressful timelines that she was finding herself having to deal with almost constantly. And what she realized when we explored during a couple of sessions was that she would eat healthily, she would exercise beautifully, she would make it a point to get good quality sleep, she meditated every day. However, there were certain times in her work when she would have these deadlines, and they would trigger a memory of her childhood when her mother, who was also in a very high-powered corporate position as an attorney in a big city law firm, would have deadlines, and she would not be able to spend time with her. Some days it was full days that led to weeks when she would barely see her mother. Her mother would be lucky if she got to have breakfast with her, and that would be the end of it, until usually the next day, or sometimes she'd travel so she'd be away from her for extended periods of time. My client got used to having a certain association with food when these deadlines in her mother's life would be going on, which would make her feel abandoned by her mother. The foods were usually related to sweets, cakes, ice cream, sundaes. The gooier, the gushier, the better. And the more comfort she would derive in the moment as she had them. And so that's what we started to realize was happening when she in her own career was starting to have these deadlines, which would take her away from her young and growing family too. Once we realized that, once she got clarity about that, she was able to have a whole new approach. By using radical gratitude, she started to see there was another way to deal with this. Instead of feeling guilt and trying to cover it up with the gooey, gushy cake or cream cake or cream cheesecake or whatever form it took, she was able to call her children. She was able to sometimes take a break and be with them. She was able to meditate more. She sometimes would take a break and go and eat some healthy food because she realized there was also a physical hunger that needed to be addressed. In your own life, and this is another golden nugget, get more used to appreciating what food really is. The miraculous process of alchemical transformation that an apple or a peach or an egg takes in your body. The form and how it changes, how it bathes every one of your trillions of cells in nutrients that are needed for you to stay healthy and live your life purpose. One way to think about it is to know that that apple or that peach or that banana or that potato was fulfilling its life purpose by being brought into your life to help you perform your life purpose. Again, radical gratitude is freely available to you all the time. You just need to get into the habit of seeing life in that new and wondrous way so that you're always in a state of not only awe generally, but awe at the body that has been bestowed upon you by the universe to get around as your vehicle in this lifetime. I'm Beverly Banov Brown, and it's wonderful to have this opportunity to share what I feel is a truly critically important approach to life and living that will create more peace, more harmony, and more joy for you, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually than you may ever have imagined possible. Until next time, bye for now.